So what we're going to do right now is just start looking at research. We're going to go through 25 years of research, and I'll show you repletion studies, and I'll show you a few of the association studies, and you'll see that difference reflected in the title of the page. I also put the date of publication up here in the corner. We're going to start with my 2004 review, just because I did mention there the fact that vitamin D deficiency does associate with depression, and vitamin D supplementation back then in 2004 was already showing benefit in patients with depression. Now, I remember reading this article and I thought to myself, wow, how could it work so fast? Because in one of the studies, and we'll look at it in just a moment, in one of these studies, they used relatively low doses and they found significant improvements in mood within 5 days of supplementation. And at the time, I was wondering how that could happen. And now I would say it's probably due to changes in the membrane vitamin D receptor, not the nuclear vitamin D receptor. So again, what I had talked about in video number 1 is that vitamin D works through certain receptors. One is in the nucleus, so we call that the nuclear vitamin D receptor, and the other is in the plasma membrane, especially within the brain, and we call that the membrane VDR, or here just MVDR. So these rapid responses occurring within 5 days of supplementation are probably mediated via an anti-inflammatory effect and or the changes in the membrane vitamin D receptor. So if we had this evidence back in 2004, my question becomes, how many hundreds of millions of patients could have been saved from depression and suicide and divorce and despair if we had acted on this information supported by biological plausibility and clinical evidence that we had when I published this back in 2004? How many hundreds of millions of people could we have saved if we had acted on that data? Now let's actually look at the original study. This is from 1998. Vitamin D3 enhances mood in healthy subjects during winter. And again, you can see they had enhanced positive affect and a reduction in negative affect, and this occurred within 5 days following relatively low doses, by today's standards, relatively low doses of vitamin D supplementation. Remarkable study, again published in 1998, and specifically showing low-dose vitamin D provides an antidepressant effect within 5 days. Now, of course, just to put this in kind of research perspective, this was before the major review published in 1999 by Vyeth showing that higher doses were certainly safe. So anything before 1999 typically uses low doses. After we got the green light from Dr. Vyeth in 1999, you'll start to see that the studies used higher doses. Let's see if we see one of those studies right now. So here we are 5 years later in 2004. This is after Vyeth's article in 1999 showing that we could use higher doses, and indeed he's